What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit about competitive bodybuilding's peak week. Okay, this seems to be a phrase that within the last, 10 years or so has become a very popular phrase. Peak week. Oh, I'm coming up into my peak week, all this peak week shit. Back in the day, we call it the week before the competition. Plain and simple. Now, this peak week I'm seeing over and over again, including myself, I've made so many mistakes with this stuff, can either make or break a competitive bodybuilder. You can look, and myself included, there have been times where I've looked great up till Friday night, and then Saturday morning, all hell breaks loose and I look like absolute shit. And I have the pictures to prove it, which is even worse because you know you missed something or you miscalculated something, you mistimed something enough to where instead of being like 5% better, you're like 25% worse, which sucks because you've just done all your dieting and your training, you feel like shit, and you finally get to the show and you look like ass, plain and simple. So why? Why do so many people miss it, and why do they look so much better the day or two after the show? Well, for a long time it was thought of you had to have this special voodoo kind of preparation things that you did before the show. So you would like deplete your carbs for 3 days, load for 2, or deplete for 5, load for 3. You would go heavy carbs this day, light carbs that day, or whatever. You'd restrict sodium, you would add sodium, you would restrict water, you would add water. I know of guys that would drink, they do this water loading bullshit where they drink like 3 gallons a day of water, and then 2 weeks out, they start reducing it by like half a gallon, so that like a week out, they're drinking like a quart of water a day. Undoubtedly, these guys always look flat and look like shit on stage, but there's so many different things. Diuretics taken the night before. I've heard of people start the diuretics the week before, and they'll take them straight through all the way to the show, which doesn't make any friggin' sense to me, but whatever. So why is it that everybody feels that they have to pull some voodoo tricks off to look their best? Well, part of the reason is most people just that are trying these things put their faith in someone else who thinks that they know better. So like an old school bodybuilder will take the new guy on and he'll manipulate all kinds of shit. And when I moved to Maryland, I had met a national competitor. At this point, I was nationally I had qualified. Not in the NPC, I hadn't qualified for nationals yet. And this guy was like competing in the USAs and like he was a big deal around here, so he offered to help me with my prep. So I said, okay, this is cool. He's got to really know what he's doing. He's on a different level. Awesome. So we go through the whole prep: potatoes, white rice, fish, chicken, egg whites. That's pretty much what my diet was. We get up to the last day, or 2 days before, and we start aldactone. Okay? Aldactone is considered a mild diuretic. However, it works for a couple of days, and well, I'd say 24 hours it usually has most of its effect on. And it blocks the reuptake of sodium and water. So now you're pissing out all your sodium and your water, and even if you took more in, you can't absorb it. So it means you better be carved up and ready to go, have enough sodium in your muscles and stuff so that when you deplete it, that you're not flat and looking like shit. Well, as it starts to deplete, I'm drying out a little bit. Friday, I'm drying out. I'm looking harder, fuller. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. The best I ever looked. I'm at the Pittsburgh. This is a huge show. Can't wait to get on stage. And then he's like, yeah, tomorrow morning we're going to get up and we're going to eat pancakes with jelly on them and fucking butter. And, that's going to fucking carb you up and make you look ridiculous. And you're going to be as heavy as the heaviest fucking light heavyweight on stage and all this shit. And then the day before, we start loading sweet potatoes. I'm not sure why, but I just listened. And as I ate the sweet potatoes, my stomach started to distend. And I started to get gas. And I started to feel like shit. And then even on the diuretic, I started to retain water. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How can I be retaining water with this, diuretic that I'm taking? I'm cutting my water. So I'm like, all right, I'll just go to sleep. When I get up in the morning, I'll be dry as a bone. I'll eat the pancakes. Everything will be good. When I get up in the morning, I was flat. Ate the fucking pancakes. Flat. Eat more pancakes. Flat. Now big distended abdomen. What the fuck is going on? Holding water flat. I don't understand. Well, I listened to this guy because I thought he knew better. As it turned out, I actually knew better because I knew my own body. So I shouldn't have listened. I should have done what I knew how to do. And instead, as my body got depleted and I ate foods that I normally hadn't eaten in like 16 weeks, My body didn't know what to fucking do with them. And on top of it, I can't digest the sweet potatoes very well anyways. So now I'm shoving like a sweet potato in my body every hour and a half. It can't digest them. It's having an inflammatory response, which is causing the body to hold water. Cortisol levels are flying through the roof because I'm stressing out. And everything's going haywire. All because we decided to do this last minute voodoo. Or I decided to listen. And it blew the whole thing. So at that point, I had another show 2 weeks later. And I said, and I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, I said, I'm not doing this show. I'm done for the season. This is fucking bullshit. I don't know what the fuck happened. Because at this point, I was at the show. I couldn't realistically step back and see what was going on. Couldn't figure out what the deal was. So, it took me a day. I took a day, which was Sunday, and kind of got my head together, and then let that guy do his own thing, and took over my own prep. For the next 2 weeks, I did what I normally do. I didn't do any depletion. I didn't do any loading. I ate the foods that I always eat, and I came in to that show, arguably up to that point, my best condition, full hard. I mean, when I walked up there, everybody was walking up to me literally that were in the bigger classes going, excuse me, what class are you in? So I'm a heavyweight. Because fuck. And when he said that, I was like, what, do I stink or something? What's my problem? Well, the fact of the matter was when I was weighing in, I was actually looking very full and tight and good. They didn't want to compete against me. And the super heavy was like, thank God. The light heavies were like, thank God. And I was like, wow. I'm looking in the mirror and I couldn't understand until I finally realized this is the package I've always been trying to put together. And I did it on my own, not listening to someone. By using the information I had about my body, knowing what to do, I did it. So I went on stage. I wound up getting second by like 1.5 points, which I don't know how that works. But it was disappointing because I really thought I had a package that would win. But at the same time, I knew now that I had a key to my own physique that I could probably produce over and over again. So now I had, all this voodoo and all this bullshit out of my head. I figured, you know what? And this comes later, like in 2009 when Levrone trained me. He explained that last peak week, like landing a plane. It's like slow and steady until the plane touches down. These guys, the voodoo, fucking crash. So, when you're cutting things out, adding things in, doing all this crazy shit, you don't know what the variables are going to be. You have no idea how your body's going to react. However, if you play it safe, and instead of that 2% tighter you want to be and looking 40% worse, you slowly land the plane as it comes in, and it comes in, and it comes in, and it comes in. Here comes the day of the show, and touchdown, boom. Nice and easy, you land the plane. So my advice to you guys during that peak week is don't do anything drastic. Don't do depleting and loading. Don't do the sodium loading and water depleting and all the bullshit. Take it easy, stay calm, and land the plane. Don't fucking crash it. bioctraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.bioctraining.com is the blog. And we're out.